Hello and welcome to another video of mine. This time around this is going to be a chopping block video. In case you don't know what chopping block means, it's basically going to be about palettes and eyeshadows. I'm not sure whether I want to keep them or pass them on. So in this series I'm going to talk about single eyeshadows as well as palettes. And I think I'm going to start with my single shadows because I can just declutter the ones I don't like or don't use already and get them out of my collection. So this is going to be the video for the single shades that are currently on my chopping block. And yes, how am I going to do this? I'm not totally sure. I just went through my collection and put together a C palette with single shades I'm not sure about whether I really want to have them in my collection or keep them in my collection, because I did depot some old shades, I did purchase some mystery boxes, and I obviously purchased a lot of single shades. And yeah, you know, with online shopping the colors sometimes seem different, and then I ended up with similar shades sometimes and stuff like that. So yes, I'm just going to show you the palette with all the single shades that are going to be on the chopping block. So this is the palette, and these are quite a lot of single shadows, I know. If you saw the video with my old depotted sleek shadows that I went through them and I already decluttered 5 of them. Then I kept the palette I want to focus on, and I kept a palette with some shades I just want to keep in my collection. And when editing this video, I just thought, like, literally just get rid of them. If you don't use them, get rid of them. And so I took some of these shadows from these 2 palettes out again to put them in here to focus on. This gray I put in here because I just realized I have different kind of grays in my collection now. So I do have 2 or 3 other grays, one of which is this one by Sydney Grace. And so I want to compare them, which one is the best, which one I want to keep, are they different enough. Then this one, obviously, because it is definitely expired, and now I don't have a dupe for it in my collection, but I want to find out if I really need to keep it. Then this turquoise petrol kind of shade I talked about in this video as well, and when swatching it, or when watching the video while editing, I was like, just get rid of it. So that's why this is in here, as same as this blue. This didn't perform very nicely when swatching, so I just want to try them out on my eyes if these are really some shades I still want to keep. And same with this one. This is a old Catrice shade. Then for this purple, this is I think an old Essence one I depotted, or like I pressed in this small sleek eyeshadow pen, and I'm not sure if the quality will be good enough for me these days. I absolutely love this shade and the color, but I am curious to see how this shade or this shadow lasts on my eyes. And then for these 3, or like these 2, the darker ones, I'm not sure if I want to keep this color in my collection, so I'm going to try it out. And this one, I know I loved. This was one of my favorite shades in one of, I think, the Vintage Romance palette from Sleek Cosmetics, but this shattered and they repressed it dry, and now I think it doesn't perform that nicely. So I also want to see if I want to keep it. And yes, all the other ones, let's just go through them. With these iridescent kind of shades, I have 3 in here. Maybe you could count this one as well, but this is, I think, just a very light shimmer. So 3 iridescents. 1, I'm just not too sure about using them. I have, I think, like 5 more in my collection, so I want to find out whether I really use them but I really like them, so that's why these are in here. This is just a very, very bold shade, and these two, no, these three, this one, this blue one, this one, and this purple one were Terra Moon's shadows, and I purchased them secondhand in a big palette of I think 12 or 14 shades, and these were just in here. I think the purple one is going to be too dark for me. This is possibly too bright for me, but we will see. I don't think I have a dupe for it, so I'm curious to see if I can find a way to use this. And this one, I definitely know I have similar shades, and I just don't tend to reach for this one, so I want to see if I like it enough to keep it. Then this is an Colourpop shade, and yeah, I just don't always enjoy the quality of Colourpop shimmers, so I want to try this one out. And this is not a shade I like, not one of my favorite shades. Then these two are Touch of Glam shadows. This one I think is too sparkly for me, too sparkly and too textured. I don't really like textured eyeshadows, so I want to see if this is too bright for me in everyday makeup use. And this one, I just put it in here. This is a nice shade, but I did put it in here because I do own a lot of purple shades, and I need to see if this is one of them I want to keep. Then the Catrice I already mentioned. It's not the nicest shade. It's very dark for me, so I'm going to see. Then this is, I think, a Makeup Geek shadow, and it's a, I don't want to say matte with shimmer, but it's like a satin with shimmer particles in it, so I need to try out how I would use it. Then these two are Sydney Grace matte, and again, I just have some grayish tones in here I want to compare and figure out which one I want to keep. Then this one is also Touch of Glam, I think. Yes. This is a mislabeled Touch of Glam shadow. This is labeled as Lucid Lavender, but it isn't. This was in one of my mystery boxes, and I compared it with my Lucid Lavender I have. And also the owner of Touch of Glam wrote me and said this must be mislabeled because this is not Lucid Lavender. So yes, I want to figure it out if I still want to keep it in my collection. This has a very blue base to it, which I don't enjoy as much. So I want to try it out more. This is Terra Moon's. This was in the palette as well with these three I purchased secondhand. So I just want to try it out. If this is some shade I would like to keep in my collection. Then this is Pastel Roses. It's, I'm gonna say, just a pink shimmer shade. So I do have pink shimmers in my collection a lot of times. I know that I have some issues with Pastel Roses creasing on me, Pastel Roses eyeshadows creasing on me, so I need to figure out if I want to keep it in my collection. I think maybe it's not special enough because I do have other pink shimmers in my collection. And then this Lethal Cosmetics one is just a very unique shade. I don't think I have this in my collection otherwise, but I also just don't reach for it. So my guess right now is that I'm going to keep it, but we will see. Then this shimmer, I have a very similar shimmer also by Sydney Grace. This is by Sydney Grace, and I have another one by Sydney Grace, and I think I prefer the other one, so I'm going to compare them and possibly get rid of this one. Then this one is by Glam Shop, and I put it in here because it's super sparkly, and as I said, I don't like too sparkly and too textured shadows, so this is in here because of the texture. And this must be Glam Shop as well, right? This is Glam Shop as well, and I talked about these iridescent shades already. So yes, there are 27 eyeshadows in here. So I don't know when I'm going to come back with an update, because I want to literally focus on these shades and try them enough of times and give them a fair chance. I even thought about putting them in my Pendos eyeshadows or my Level Up project pen, but I decided against it. I definitely not going to have that much of progress in my Pendos eyeshadows, because I think I want to go through these shades and figure out if I want to declutter them. I think except these sleek shades and the Catrice shade and this Essence one, these are all new shades. So if I'm going to declutter them, these would go to a new home, and I think it's just fair to do it now when these shades are quite new or like quite unused, rather than have it in my collection for years and years and then decide, yeah, I never used them, let's get rid of them. So yeah, maybe someone else can enjoy these more than me. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know, did you do a focus palette like this before, where you decide whether to declutter a shade or not? Did you do a chopping block kind of video? I would be very interested to know. And yeah, and I would also be curious to know if you do own a Pastel Roses UK shadow. Do they crease on you? And if so, how do you use them best? I would love to know. And yes, other than that, I hope you are doing fine, and I wish you a very nice day. Bye!